The iPhone X was announced yesterday, and I want to cut through kind of the press release information and give you 10 items that aren't necessarily the most widely publicized things, but are 10 critical things and 10 very interesting things that you'll want to know about the iPhone X. So number one, we'll talk about Face ID. Obviously, one of the big new features on the iPhone X is moving away from Touch ID to authenticate Apple Pay transactions and to unlock the device, and switching to Face ID. Now, we've seen some face recognition systems in other phones that have done a very poor job with actual security and have been easily spoofed and fooled. Apple's solution is actually much more secure than that. In fact, according to Apple, the likelihood that Face ID will be compromised by someone else's face is 1 in a million compared to 1 in 50,000 using Touch ID. So it's actually more secure in that way. It adjusts to glasses, beards, different haircut styles. You can use it in the dark as well. So it's actually more secure, and according to Apple, because of the fact they're not just taking a picture of your face and using that as authentication, they're actually making a map of your face using very advanced sensors. It's not going to be fooled by things like images that you could get offline, or even possibly 3D printing a mask. Although, obviously, if someone's going to go to the extent of 3D printing your face, that's probably beyond what anyone would do anyway, but Apple says they have improved their algorithms to combat that. So Face ID is actually very secure. Number two, I want to talk about fast charging. This is something that was at the bottom of a slide that Apple talked about, that Apple announced when they talked about the new phone. But actually, fast charging is incredibly interesting. So it allows you to go from 0 to 50% of charge in only 30 minutes. Incredibly fast, incredibly useful. But there's a rather large caveat. There will be no support for this out of the box. You'll actually need to get an Apple USB-C power adapter and a USB-C to Lightning adapter. Those together at the lowest cost, so the shortest length cable and the lowest powered USB-C power adapter that Apple offers, is $74. So although fast charging is incredibly useful and interesting, it's going to be at least $74 if you buy the Apple accessories to support fast charging. So that's something to keep in mind. Number three, if you're looking to get Apple Care Plus, I should say, they've actually bumped up the price. So it's actually now $199 to get Apple Care Plus service. And of course, you then would have to pay if the screen got cracked. There's an incidental charge for that you'll pay each time, as well as if the whole device needs to be replaced for whatever reason, there will be an incidental charge for that. So the prices have gone up for Apple Care Plus on the iPhone X, similar to just the price going up, starting at $999 to $1,149 for that device. So Apple Care prices are up. Number four, I want to talk about the new display. So it's a new Super Retina display. Has 5.8 inches diagonal, 2436 by 1125 pixels, which gets you 458 pixels per inch. It's obviously an OLED display, which is different than previous iPhones and even the iPhone 8. It also supports True Tone, which I think is an incredible feature. It's debuted on the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. It basically uses ambient light sensors to adjust the warmth of the display, just as if you were looking at a piece of paper, the appearance of the paper would change based on the lighting around you. It's something that you need to see to believe, but it's actually incredibly useful, and again, I loved that when I had an iPad Pro. Some other things to note, the glass on the display, and of course the glass on the back, because it's glass on front and back, is actually the most durable glass ever in a smartphone according to Apple. So the likelihood that it'll break, even though there's much more glass than on previous devices, is reduced dramatically. And one thing to keep in mind as well, obviously some of the enhancements to the iPhone 8 display are welcome. Early reports, just looking at the devices, it's very clear that the new Super Retina display on the iPhone X is significantly better than the iPhone 8 display. So that's something to keep in mind, because you may just see, oh, Retina display, oh, another Retina display, fine. It's the same as the iPhone 8, but that is not fair to say, and it's not true. Number five, one thing I want to talk about. So a lot of people unlock their devices by tapping their home button. The iPhone X, you'll actually be able to just tap the display to unlock the device. Of course, you also have the raise to wake feature that I really enjoy on my iPhone 7, but being able to tap the display gives you a kind of replacement option for opening up the display now that the home button is gone. Number six, I want to talk about battery life. So obviously you have seen battery life is 2 hours better than the iPhone 7. They marketed that very heavily, particularly when you balance it with the new technology, the bigger display, the OLED display, etc. But one thing that to keep in mind, even though this is their flagship device and their most expensive iPhone, it does not have the best battery life. If you're looking to get the best battery life, you're still going to want to go with the iPhone 8 Plus or even the iPhone 7 Plus. Those will have about equivalent battery lives. But they will be better than the iPhone 10. So although it's a flagship device, it does not have the best battery life, and I think that's something interesting to keep in mind if really the phone you're looking for is one that will last the longest. I want to talk about number 7 with the dual cameras. Again, you may just look at, oh, iPhone 8 Plus, iPhone 7 Plus, dual cameras. This is about the same. It's not. It has dual optical image stabilization, which means both the telephoto lens and the wide-angle lens have optical image stabilization, which is incredibly important for low-light photography as well as shaky hands or whatever. It also has reduced noise and improved color reproduction, so it'll be a significant improvement. Number 8, obviously you know that wireless charging is supported on both the iPhone 8 and iPhone 10. Wireless charging, what's great about this is they actually are supporting the QI standard, which means there will be a lot of existing third-party support, whether that's in coffee shops or hotels, whether that's just with power mats that you already have, which I think is really nice. In addition to that, the iPhone X and iPhone 10 and iPhone 8 will also support the proprietary Apple AirPower accessory, which was announced and won't be shipping until next year, but that little pad will actually support up to 3 devices at a time, so you and your significant other can both charge your phones, or if you have a phone and an Apple Watch Series 3, that can be charged. There'll also be a new case for the AirPods that will be able to be charged wirelessly on the AirPower accessory as well. But the fact that it gives you that option to use Apple proprietary tech when it comes out to kind of work exactly how Apple wants it to, but also the option to be backwards compatible with this standard, I think is incredibly useful, and one that was kind of up in the air whether they would support it when wireless charging first leaked at the beginning of this year. So the last 2 things I want to talk about are software, or the next thing I want to talk about is actually screenshots. So obviously there's no home button anymore, and it's taking screenshots, whether that's for, you know, you're a content producer, or you find something cool, you want to just take a screenshot and send it to your friends. Obviously iOS 11 has a new interface for sharing screenshots right away, which is nice. If you want to take a screenshot on the iPhone 10, it's going to be the side button and volume up button to capture. And the last thing I want to talk about is kind of a software thing that has to do with Control Center. Obviously, one thing that we've seen Apple talk about with the iPhone 10, how do you close an app? There's no home button, like how do you go back to the main screen? You just swipe it from the bottom. Well, that's actually how you activated Control Center before. So there's actually a new Control Center gesture. If you go to the top right corner of the iPhone 10, that's where your kind of status notifiers are. You just swipe down right from there, and that will activate the new iOS 11 Control Center. So those are 10 things that I think are incredibly important to know about the iPhone 10. I tried to steer clear of things that you could just read very easily on a press release. I think these are all very useful and very interesting. I'd love to hear in your comments below, what do you think about the iPhone 10? Is it something that you're going to purchase, something that you're interested in, or is it kind of just too pricey and you're going to wait until next year to have that radical design trickle down to lower price points? I'd love to hear what you have to say on that. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure you click subscribe so all of my content comes right to your YouTube homepage. And of course, follow me on social media if you want to have more information. I have 2 social media pages that you may not have seen before, twitter.com/therevivedone, as well as a new Instagram page, instagram.com/therevivedone. Thanks for watching.